everybody. I think we'll probably have a few more people joining as we come along, but hopefully everybody's set up. We've got several people as co-hosts, and let's see, before we get started, let me make the presenters co-hosts now so we don't have to do it later.
And Chris, I think Laura's going to drop.
Yeah, I'm just adding her now, and there you are.
Hello.
And just really quick, Melissa, I sent you a chat. If you can look at your chat, please.
Wait, where did your name go? There it is. Wait, it keeps jumping around. All right. Okay, I think we have most of the presenters. I don't know who's talking from the skills clinic, but whoever, whether it's Spencer or Owen, we'll make you a co-host when the time comes. So let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Let me share my screen for a second here and see if I can get this working properly. Everybody see that? Welcome screen.
Look.
Everybody's mute. So
Looking good.
okay. So April general meeting. We've got a few items on the agenda and a dynamite talk by Laura Zolliger, Paul Randall, and Marianne King about paddling not in the Bay Area and in the British Isles. So we'll see how that goes. Just a few things we're going to cover. I'd like to introduce some new members and guests. I know we have at least one, as we do every meeting. Tim would like to make an announcement, quick announcement about the fiscal budget year. And I was going to talk about some of our upcoming meetings that we have. I'm going to put in a plug for some volunteers that we need, so stay tuned for that. Our usual discussion of future paddles, announcements about the skills clinic, and the delightful Marianne Furter will be talking about her muscle of the month, and I just saw her getting set up. So our feature presentation tonight after the break is entitled Whale Celtic Classics, 5 days exploring the classic sea kayaking destinations of the Anglesey coast. I don't know if I pronounced Anglesey correctly, but probably close enough. So let me first ask for our new members, if you can introduce yourselves and just say a little bit about where you live and what kind of paddling you like to do or how new you are to paddling, so the rest of the club can get to know you. And let's see, we need to unmute Kelly.
You want me to say so? I'm not sure how many new people
sure.
there are.
Yeah, you're the only one I know of right now.
All right. So I'm Kelly. I live in the Kings Mountain area, which, if you don't know where that is, it's about halfway between Redwood City and Half Moon Bay, up in the mountains there. I know virtually nothing about paddling. I have a very cheap, modest little kayak that I'll sometimes tootle around Half Moon Bay Harbor in, but that's about my only experience. But this year I kind of committed myself to meeting some new people and trying some new things outdoors, and this has seemed kind of cool for a while, something that would be interesting. So I thought I'd be a fly on the wall today and get to know you guys a little more. So thank you.
Great, welcome. I already sent Kelly a big plug about the skills clinic because she said she was interested in learning more, so I had to put the plug in for that. Any other new members there? I'm looking through the names here. I don't see any. Okay, guess not. So let's see. The other thing we wanted to mention was if folks are having trouble with currents, I have a link here. Let's see, I'm not screen sharing. I was going to share some links to help for currents, which I actually will be in the newsletter. It's probably I'm not gonna be able to dig it up now because I closed that document, but check on currents and there was a posting today on Currents. If people are trying to set Currents up so that it is like the former Buzz platform, you can follow those instructions. But in the newsletter and on the website, there should be some new links to help the last few people who haven't adopted Currents yet get on Currents. At some point, I'll try to put those in the meeting chat so that people have them handy to refer to. Okay, let's see. Tim, do you want to cover your announcement about your announcement for the budget fiscal year? Where'd you go?
I've made a suggestion to our board, and we reviewed this at a previous planning meeting. The idea of aligning the beginning of our fiscal year with the time we actually initiate that. Currently, we approve our budget at approximately the end of March. But we start spending that budget in January. I'm suggesting that we shift the fiscal year to start April 1st, when we have our new board members, and when we actually approve the budget. It's not good fiduciary precision to wait for 3 months into a budget to actually approve the budget. So the pros are that it starts with the new board. The board would have some perhaps limited involvement in reviewing it before it gets voted on. Although they might want to do that anonymously, and that's a possibility if they choose. But it also just cleans up that irregularity of not having working on a budget that's not approved. The downsides aren't much. There's some a couple hours of work for me to shift that end date, but it's no big deal. We just sort of extend 1 year and let the next one start. Even since we're not reporting to the IRS or to the state our financial statements, or not borrowing money, these reports aren't legally critical in any way. They're just information in terms of managing our resources for this nonprofit. So if anybody has a question about that or any comments about that, please put up your hand. I'll recognize you. Elizabeth?
I just want to note that it'll be an agenda item on the planning meeting. So we'll have time for full discussion on it and voting.
Thank you.
For a bigger, broader discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Well-
can comment. We talked about it at the last planning meeting, and all the current officers were supportive. But we thought, it's a change for the club. It doesn't involve a change in the bylaws, but it's a change, and so we thought the proper thing to do is bring it up at a general meeting, and then people can discuss it in more detail at the planning meeting in May. So. Okay. Anything else, Tim?
That's all.
Okay. Oh, I think the other thing somebody may ask is that that would require this one-time stretching of the budget of this year's budget for an extra 3 months. We're not too worried about that either. So, but we can talk about that at the planning meeting if we need to.
Chris, do you want to mention should we mention the pizza thing?
No, we can leave that for a planning meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so let me share my screen again. We could talk about upcoming meetings. Okay, so we have May 31st, our next general meeting will be a Zoom meeting. And it needs to be a Zoom meeting because our presenter lives on the East Coast. And so we're also going to start an hour earlier because I didn't want to put him through starting at 10 and finishing at 11. So we'll start at 6, 9 p.m. his time. But this is by Joe Berkovitz, who many of you know. And he's going to talk about a new paddle planning tool that he built called Floating Trails. He posted that to our Currents website. Some people have previewed it already. It looks like a dynamite handy little tool that will work everywhere there's a NOAA chart, I believe. So, so stay tuned for that. That'll be next month. And then in June, we're going to have an in-person meeting, which will be a potluck party in mid-June because I couldn't get Oakland Middle Harbor later, and I'm going to be partially out of town. So, so we'll have an in-person meeting and party at Oakland Middle Harbor. And our BASK co-founder, the one and only Penny Wells, will be celebrating her 80th birthday. So we're going to have a little celebration for that, and I do have Penny's permission. So stay tuned for details in Currents in the BASK calendar. We're also planning to have a gear swap, which was a big hit last year, I understand. So you've got some gear in your garage that you're trying to get rid of and you're tripping over, dust it off, bring it along. I'm sure there will be somebody that just is dying to get their hands on whatever it is you're trying to get rid of. And then the other thing we're going to do is have people show off their Greenland paddle. People have some very nice Greenland paddles, including our own treasurer. And for folks that have only paddled Euro style and are thinking about dabbling their toes in the water of Greenland paddles, this will be a great opportunity for them to get educated about all different kinds of Greenland paddles. And we can see if we can convince them to paddle Greenland style instead of Gangnam style. And I'm hoping that we check the tides are sufficiently high at Oakland Middle Harbor that day. So hopefully we'll be able to have a paddle. Somebody will initiate a paddle and get us all off on the water after we stuff ourselves with food. Tim?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment back on the paddle items. Greenland paddles are unique to Greenland, but the Alaskans used an Aleutian type paddle, which is very different. So being a Aleutian paddler, I think that should be listed in this.
Yeah, you're right. I saw that. I meant to say Greenland/Aleut, but
Thank you.
I was generalizing. My apologies. I'll make sure it's proper in the upcoming communication. So Pete, speaking of paddle initiation, we also need some volunteers. I got to put a plug out for volunteers. First of all, the treasurer. We love Tim, but the treasurer is a 3-year term. And Tim has mentioned more than once that it's time to start thinking about somebody who would be willing to replace him starting in 2024. So there would be a transition period in the new year, but I'd be starting in April 2024, right, with the new officers? Yeah, so if it doesn't require that you be a CPA or any kind of financial planner, just requires knowledge of Excel spreadsheets and some savvy and knowledge of the club, things like that. So if you know somebody or you're willing, please talk to Tim, let us know. Our recent speaker seekers have bowed out. So we're looking for 2 or more people to help us identify potential speakers, featured speakers for BASK. I think if the job is shared, it's probably going to be a little bit easier for people. But it mostly kind of involves emails and sweet talking people to talk about topics of interest. So I've gotten a few suggestions for speakers, but long term, it'd be nice to have a couple people help out with that. Party planners. So we are hoping to have a holiday party this year, assuming there's not another pandemic. And we already have the Aeolian Yacht Club reserved and in our name for December. So that is set. And David Caruso Redin has agreed to help with all of the, decorations and things. But we're probably going to need a couple more people, certainly to help with that. And we'll put out a call for volunteers as we get closer to the holiday party. But for example, for any of our in-person meetings that might be at new venues, things like that, it'd be helpful to have a couple more people to help out with those kinds of things, to help our food maven, Julie Small, and those kinds of things. So I know some people love to do that and they're really good at it. So spread the word. And then of course, people to post paddles. We're always looking for to fill the calendar up with paddles for baskers. I think as Dwight has done a great job, our member at large has done a great job educating people with special videos about how to post a paddle and how to initiate a paddle. And I would say if you haven't initiated before and maybe you're a little hesitant, see if you can find somebody to help you co-initiate the paddle. That can make, ease any of your trepidation about it. And you can also chat with Dwight, our member at large, who is an expert in these things and is very encouraging. So, and then I'll throw out a little bit of food for thought. If all the folks that have kind of back channel paddles, you can always consider opening one of those up, maybe once every 2 months or so, and make things lively by inviting all BASK. So see how that goes. So if you want to volunteer for any of these things, you can contact me or any of the other officers. For treasure, it's probably safest to contact Tim, and he can talk you through what's involved there. But we'd love to have people help volunteer. So future events and paddles, we'll talk about some of the things that are coming up. Lots of fun. Just this, in about a week or so, there's a paddle on Lake Sonoma. There have been quite a few because everybody's dying to go paddle on Lake Sonoma and hike to the waterfalls while they're gushing. So there's a sign-up sheet on the BASK calendar and on the website, but this promises to be a lot of fun. I heard the waterfalls are really going, and you can camp overnight, freshwater paddle. May 9th is our planning meeting, as always, and Elizabeth will have the agenda out for that. There is a new member paddle on Tamales Bay, and that one is unfortunately full with a long waiting list, I saw, which is great. But I think that the originator said that if we got more people to volunteer leading a pod of that paddle, that she might be able to expand it. So if you're on that paddle, definitely consider volunteering to lead a pod so that we can break it up into more reasonable size. But these new member paddles have been super popular. So and then there's a lot of clinics coming up. You can check the calendar for those, but Margot and Jen have done a fantastic job educating people about how to paddle in the bay and outside the bay and all kinds of rescue practices and everything. They have a clinic for strokes for handling bay chop. That particular clinic is full, but there are many, they've offered many different versions of that. So if you didn't get in, just stay tuned. There might be another one coming up, especially in the summer when the water is a tiny bit warmer. And then May 20th is boat demo day. So if you're thinking about maybe getting a new kayak, or you just want to try different kayaks, go to Alameda, Encinal Beach. There's going to be quite a few different kayaks there because there's different commercial vendors there who will have kayaks that you can try out for the day. And there's nothing like paddling in a kayak to help you really decide if that's the one that you want. And then May 28th, I don't know much about this event, but Ross does, is the Vogelonga. So far, last I checked, I think Ross, our secretary, is the only one signed up to paddle in the canals of Venice. But that promises to be an exotic event. And if that's something you can do, you've got a whole month to figure it out to get yourself to Venice. Apparently it's a huge event with lots of kayakers and boaters. So it sounds like we'll make Ross talk about it when he comes back. And then far in the future, but I wanted to put the plug in for this because they're trying to make sure that they have enough people to commit to the Fort Ross for this, is August 25th to 27th, a weekend camping overnight, except you're not camping in a tent. You get a chance to stay in the historic and exotic Fort Ross itself. So it's you have a chance to paddle on the coast, which is gorgeous up there, up north, and you can stay overnight in Fort Ross. So look for details on the calendar and sign up for that. There's a sign up sheet as well. If you're considering it and you think you're pretty sure you can commit, I would sign up, because if they don't get enough people, they'll have to cancel it. And I think they're trying to accumulate and see how many people will commit to being there for the weekend. So, okay. And I think next is our BASK Skills Clinic. And we've got our Skills Clinic experts to talk. I've got slides from them, so you guys can just tell me when you want me to advance the slides. And I don't know who's talking, Owen or Spencer?
Owen.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks very much, Chris. So the work on the 2023 BASK Skills Clinic is well underway. So we had a call out for volunteer applications. So that closed and we had like 46 respondents. So that's pretty terrific. And so very impressed with that. And I got a little bit of feedback from people who thought I was a bit binary on the stuff. And I fully admit I was very binary on whether you were in a yes or a no for the days that we were looking for respondents. But having said that, I know the world keeps changing and there will be a little bit of shifting on that. So if you said one thing and want to change, or said a no and you want to be a yes, you know, there's room for changes. That's reality. So I'm working on trying to slot people into schedules for instructors and support people and safety people and general help out. So as I say, plugging away at that. I thought I would have assignments out by May 15th, and I think I was a bit delusional when I set that date, so it may slip a little bit. I've got a trip to Italy in the middle of that, so that, and I probably had a good glass of wine when I was doing these dates. Anyway, that's the way that is. So very appreciative of the fantastic response there. So the next step that is underway is looking for student applications. So that's currently open. So I see one maybe yesterday, having checked the list. I'm looking at a closing date of May 23rd for that. And I personally have never been a student at the BASK Clinic, even though I'm a coordinator, so I can't really speak to how wonderful it is. So what I've done is try to line up a couple of testimonials So we have two people that may be lined up to talk a little bit about their experience. It doesn't get much better than hearing from enthusiastic former students. So the first up was Cindy Regnier. So I'm wondering if she is on. I know she's on the West Coast, so she may or may not have made it. Failing that, I think Sean's out there, so he would be behind Cindy. So let's have a call out for Cindy, see if she's around. Nope, doesn't look like it. So maybe we'll go to the next slide. And I think Sean is there. I thought I saw him on the list.
Hey, it's Sean. Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about Skills Clinic last year. I did successfully graduate despite all the rumors that suggest otherwise. It was really great overall. I think that there's definitely, you should definitely ask other folks about the Skills Clinic and what goes on, but it isn't just about sort of building up your fundamentals, which is definitely where we start. I feel like me personally, I filled in a lot of, Swiss cheese of some habits that I learned myself and then got to improve at the beginning of the Skills Clinic. But they take you to like all these new places and new features and allow you to kind of explore, with increasing conditions to really test those skills that you built, which was really great to do it. And with like sometimes like a 2-to-1 volunteer to student ratio, which was really fantastic. So I can't say enough about it. And feel free to hit me up if you have any questions about it. I'd be happy to answer or loop you into the other graduates from last year.
Just for fun, how many people, wave your hands in front of your camera, how many people have taken the Skills Clinic, the BASK Skills Clinic? It's quite a few. Pretty much, Don, you did. How come you're not waving? Yeah, it's I highly recommend it. It's a great opportunity to get to know people in BASK. You'll learn everything you wanted to know about kayaking, and you will probably, as I was, just be amazed by all the very helpful volunteers.
So the last slide is dates to remember, and I think Spencer is going to talk to this slide and maybe a little bit more.
So actually, potential students, these are the key dates to remember. These are going to be for your Skills Clinic. We would like to have you there for each session. It's not going to be necessary because, life stuff does happen, but, if you're going to commit, you should commit to all these dates right here. Applications, like Owen said, for students, applications are open. And I was going to say, I have been a student of the Skills Clinic. I've been a volunteer of the Skills Clinic, and now I'm a coordinator. And, Chris and Sean both said it that, it's a great way to meet people. You're going to build your confidence in kayaking, and it's a long-term relationship with your boat, yourself, and the people you're going to go through the clinic with. So applications are open. Let's see. Let's get out there. Thanks.
I see Penny has a hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I've never taken the Skills Clinic, but I started it. And just so you all have the background, in the very beginning, we were trying to figure out ways to get more people into BASK because we only had 20 members at that time. And it was suggested that if you take a small group of people and give them an intense learning experience, they will bond. And once they have bonded, they will pour energy back into your organization. So we tried it. We were skeptical, but we tried it and it worked. And we have been doing it ever since with the best of all possible results.
Wow.
Yay, Skills Clinic.
Yay, thank you, Betty.
Yeah, well, thanks to you for starting it, because everybody who goes through it is amazed at the experience. I mean, it's not like it's, you know, intense in a bad way. It's intense in a super fun way. So,
Well, and it's as much about bonding and meeting people that are going to be your paddling buddies in the future as it is about technical skills.
right. Yeah, don't miss it. We'll put out more plugs for it for people and try to, I'm sure you guys are trying to target some of the newer members as well. We've got a lot of newer members, so they aren't necessarily on this call. So. Any last questions about the skills clinic or other things?
Only to say thank you to the new skills clinic coordinators.
Yes.
It's, I know it's a bite out of your lives and schedule, but hard to imagine anything that's more rewarding to see all these people achieve talents and make new connections. And it's just as much fun for the trainers, I know, having done it many times myself.
Yep. And thank you to the 46 people who signed up to be skills clinic volunteer instructors. That's a great turnout and a very nice number. That's going to make a good ratio for students.
Hey, I want to say that I think we had, Owen, correct me, I think we had 31 people sign up for the volunteer camping weekend.
Wow.
So that's huge, right? That's going to be a party.
Yes, that's for sure. That's for sure.
And that's at Tamales Bay, September 9th and 10th, right?
No, the volunteer weekend is
Oh, the
earlier.
volunteer.
That's
Oh,
in
it'll be a
Olima.
camping
Yeah, okay.
weekend in Olima.
Oh, Lima. Oh, yeah. That'll be fun. Okay, well, thank you guys for doing that this year, and to everybody who signed up. Sure it's going to be a blast. Okay, our next item was Marianne Furta's Muscle of the Month. Take it away, Marianne. Where'd she go? Uh-oh. Maybe she didn't realize she was up yet.
Sorry, need to reposition the camera. Okay, so when we were here together, when we were not here, we were someplace else, but we were all together. I started to bring us to moving the shoulders. So, and this was in honor of Ellen Kepner, who is Tai Chi instructor. So I thought I would carry that forward. So just a little recap. We started with, so if you're welcome to, and you're welcome to, if you would like to, come along with me. So stand up if you would care to, and this will help if you have the experience, because if you get it in your body, then you can move it forward. Okay, so we started out by doing a little spinning from the spine. So in order to spin from the spine optimally, you want to line up your spine optimally. So if you're standing up, you can see where I am here. So I'm going to just let my knees bend a little bit so I can drop the tailbone down, and that sets the sacrum on top of the spine. Then I'm going to drop the shoulders and lift the crown of the head. So you're all in one line, okay? So what we did, in honoring Ellen Kepner, was doing this sort of a Tai Chi simple spinning, okay? So keep that alignment of, think the tailbone down and the crown of the head up, and just turn. So this is a little exercise in spinal rotation. And if you let your knees drop a little bit when you're in the center and then come up a little bit, so you're kind of like a metronome, bobbing a little bit up and down, as well as rolling side to side. So we've got the torso rotating and the pelvis, and the shoulders are rotating along, and the arms are relaxed. So this helps if your arms are really relaxed eventually, right? As you turn your hands kind of slap into your thighs a little bit. So this is a Tai Chi simple standing motion. Okay, so just easy, let that fall away. But try to keep that sense of upright from the crown of the head lifting up and the tailbone dropping down. Okay, so then in order to help to mobilize the shoulders, now one of the challenges, especially if it's windy out or we're a little bit anxious in our boat, same thing as if you're anxious in traffic or if you're anxious at your computers. I'm going to come up a little closer here so I can give you a close-up of what happens. So when we get kind of stressed out, the shoulders can come up. And when the shoulders come up, they come forward. So then you end up with your back kind of sticking out. And then in order to look forward, you do this kind of thing. Well, as you can see, this is not real good spinal alignment. So a way to help relieve that, what's going to be painful here and probably painful here, is to drop the shoulders down. So you drop the shoulders down and you lift the sternum up. I'll move myself a little bit through the back, make sure you all can see me here. So if I drop the shoulders down and I lift the sternum, you can see how the head kind of floats up on top of the shoulders. So if we're paddling and we're using the pecs a lot, and especially if it's windy, we'll end up with this, right? So to bring the shoulders into contact with the torso, so that when we do torso rotation, right, we're not stressing the shoulders. So if you will, lift your shoulders, right? You can feel the shoulders come up, and then take your arms a little bit out to the side and draw the shoulders down, but keep the arms reaching out to the side. So that's a real important muscle of the month. That's called the serratus anterior. It's not important to remember it, okay? But it's the action of the shoulders down is not the arms coming into the torso. That's another muscle. You don't need to remember the name of the muscle. There will not be a test, but there will be a test to see if the nape of your neck is painful when you're paddling and it's windy. So reach the arms out to the side a little bit, lift those shoulders and draw the shoulders down, but keep the arms reaching out. Okay, so that's a very important muscle to remember. And you can feel that. And if you want to feel it on yourself, you can take your hand and put it like under your armpit. So if you draw the shoulder down without bringing the arm into the body, you'll feel a muscle contract right under there. Okay, so that's the muscle you want. All right, so that's just the beginning. Chris gave me 10 minutes. Maybe I won't take the 10 minutes, but I will take a couple more minutes. Okay, so now come on and stand back up if you've been sitting down. So if you have the capability, what we're going to do is we're going to swing the arms up and swing the arms back and swing them up and swing them back and just let it be loose. Now you'll notice when you bring your arms up, it brings your shoulders up. So if you bring your shoulders down first, it makes that downward motion easier, right? So try to keep a hold of that downward motion, okay? Come on, arms up to the side again and lift the shoulders and draw the shoulders down, keeping the arms reaching out. Okay, one final thing, and this may confuse some of you. You bring the arms up overhead. So we want to do torso rotation, okay? So what we're going to do with the arms up overhead, we're going to turn to bring the one arm forward and the other arm back. And if you turn to the back arm, right, the back arm is going back and the front arm is going back and the front arm is going forward, and then turn so that front arm is now back and the back arm is now front, and you're turned toward the back arm. And come on back up again. Okay, so starting at the beginning, okay, starting at the top. So this is my right arm, okay? So I'm going to bring my right arm back and my left arm forward. I'm going to turn to the right. And then I'm going to come back to the center when my arms are centered. Okay, torso center, arm centered below. Now I'm going to bring my left arm back and my right arm forward. I'm going to turn to the left and come back up to the center. And so once your arms are up overhead, now you're back to the center. So now we can do that in time. So down and up and down and up. So you're spinning your spine as you're moving your arms. So right arm back, left arm back, right arm back, left arm back, turning to the right, turning to the left, turning to the right, turning to the left, right arm back, left arm back, turning around, bring it on up. Okay, let's try that in the opposite direction. Okay, so we're going to bring the left arm back and the right arm forward, turning to the left. Turning to the left with the left arm back and the right arm forward. Come back to center. The arms are down at the side and your torso is centered. Bring the right arm back, turn to the right, bring the left arm forward. And then you come up overhead and you're back to center. Left arm back, right arm forward, turning to the left. Arms are down at the side and your torso is centered. Right arm back, left arm forward, turning to the right. Arms overhead, back to center. Let's try that one more time. Left arm back, right arm forward, turning to the left. Arms are down to the waist with the torso centered. And then take the right arm back and the left arm forward, turning to the right. And as the arms are up overhead, you're back to center. And once you got that going slow, you can make it a little bit faster. Left arm back, turning to the left, arms down below, right arm back, left arm forward, turning to the right. Come on up ahead and let it swing. And this, as you can feel, is not a strengthening exercise. It's a mobilizing exercise to free up those shoulders and open up the chest. And if that was confusing, maybe we'll try it again when we meet again. Thank you.
Wow, that was great, Marianne.